preserve the wealth.
All right, President Trump posting on Truth Social, people live in homes, not corporations, and he's pushing Congress to act. It's a move intended to reinvigorate the American dream.
We want to preserve the wealth that a lot of people have accrued in their homes while also making it possible for young people to afford their first home, make it affordable for young families to raise young families. I think if you really give people a sense of ownership in this country, a sense that they can build something, build a nest egg, build a family, that is the trick to reinvigorating the American dream.
So is banning large housing investors a path to the American dream or government intrusion full of unintended consequences? Julian, what do you say? Can I come to you first on this? I need your reaction.
Awesome.
Okay.
I remember this in 2020 specifically. And I sold my house in 2021, and one of these investment firms wanted to actually buy the house so they could rent it out. And I have much younger siblings who struggled with this, and I was seeing young people swarming the internet complaining about the fact that companies like Zillow were buying up all these houses to rent them out and make the younger generation forever tenants. This is awesome.
Okay.
I can't understand it from your perspective.
No,
From a layman's
I
terms,
love
it's
this.
great, and I've heard it's a huge.
I feel a little debate brewing.
Oh, really? Okay, teach
So
me.
let's see. Jackie, I'll come to you next. What do you think about it?
So I understand the president has a problem with housing right now. Rates are high, prices have just gone up since the time that you're talking about. Really, they were on the rise into COVID, and then with low rates, the price.
Yeah, so let me touch on this a little bit real quick, right? It's a blessing and a curse. We are in a home of the free, land of the brave, America, right? People come over here to live their dreams because anything is possible. So there's a double-edged sword to this, and I actually will empathize with both sides, right? Being that I am a businessman myself, so I understand, I'm a capitalist, right? I take advantage on the opportunities that are in front of me, and there's nothing really wrong with that per se. But then on the flip side, like she said, she makes a very good argument that if you allow a lot of the larger industrial people like BlackRock or Blackstone buy a whole bunch of homes, Zillow was buying a whole bunch of homes because they know the pricing of housing is becoming unaffordable. They know it's harder for people to be able to put 3.5% down, which I highly always advise against. 5% down, 10% down. I'm always going to firmly believe you put a minimum of 20% down. You want to have equity in the home because God forbid if something happens later down the line, it just gives you a little bit of peace of mind and wiggle room. But with that being said, with the average house being between $400,000 and $500,000 now in America, it's pretty hard to save up 40 to 50, maybe 60 grand. And that's just for the down payment. Does not include the closing costs, which can add another 3 to 5% of the total purchase price. But with that being said, it's a double-edged sword, right? As a businessman, you want to be able to make a profit. And is it really fair if you are in the position to do things that other people can't? Right? Should you have to suffer as a businessman because other people don't have the means to? Or do you sacrifice that, have some type of restriction on the amount of properties you can buy, which ultimately would add to your net worth, to allow other individuals to have the opportunity to purchase these properties in hope that in the future it doesn't go into foreclosure? Double-edged sword.
And so something has to happen to balance the housing market. We understand that, but I'm just not sure that I love what he's doing here, because I really am a free markets person. And I think that, going and saying that one entity, investors or private equity, can't buy these homes and rent them out, where's his authority to do that? I think he's going to be questioned and potentially need congressional approval to be able to do this, which I don't think that he will get. I agree that it will create a situation that will allow more individuals to get into the housing market, which is what we want because it's been part of the American dream. I'm not taking a position on whether I think it's kind of right or wrong. I'm just looking at what he's trying to do, and I'm stepping back and thinking that there are reasons that private equity is flocking to the housing market, because I have a good friend in private equity, runs a firm. Traditionally, what they would do is take basically troubled businesses and either try to turn them around or bring them up, sell off the parts. One aspect. Private equity has really branched out and fanned out into so many different things now, including the housing market. But I'm thinking about smart people sitting back saying, how do you make a good investment given the lay of the land and the way things are today? And so housing seemed like it was a good option, which is what attracted all that capital there. I just worry with the president taking stakes, government stakes in companies like Intel, and doing certain things. I think his intention is good, but I don't, even though I like him,
that unintended
think he should overstep.
issue. Okay, so I do think it's true that he wants this.
Let me play devil advocate for a second too when it comes to the whole Trump thing, right? Because everybody have complained that since Trump has been in office, his colleagues, his friends, their net worth have increased tremendously, right? And they are not really for the people. So playing devil's advocate here, and it's just going to be a quick question. We'll get back to the video. Do you guys think Trump is proposing something for the people, knowing that it might not get passed in Congress, just to show good faith to the American people? Or he's genuine about this and he actually want American people to have the opportunity to be first-time home buyers? It's just something to think about.
To be congressionally approved. That's the route he wants to go in this. Dagan, I'm going to come to you. I just throw a couple of stats out, and I see differing figures, but they're all around this ballpark. Large institutional investors, like the kind being targeted here, own about 2% of single-family rentals, about 1%, slightly less, of single-family homes. So they loom large in our imagination. We can debate the numbers, but numerically, I don't think they're as big as we think they are. But maybe you've got different data, Dagan. Take it away.
The large institutional investors like Cerberus, Blackstone owns a couple of, they bought Home Partners in 2021, a $6 billion deal. Tricon Residential, that was another 38,000 U.S. rental homes. It's worth noting that Steve Schwarzman, Blackstone's chief executive, is a great benefactor politically to President Trump's political operation for many years. So 2% of the nation's single-family rental housing stock are these big institutional investors. 30% of single-family home purchases beginning of last year were investors. But it's the small investor that accounts for 90% of the market of investor owners. So when President Trump talks about this, how big is big? Is it just Blackstone's? Because are you going to crack down on people who have sopped up properties, say, across Florida or Arizona, who are renting them out as Airbnbs?
And she got a good point, Darren, why this ultimately, and we're gonna end it there. While ultimately this is actually going to be very hard to mandate, right? So if those statistics are true, and realistically the big names that are buying what we think are huge numbers, thousands of homes, and they only really make up 2% of the market, right? And then you have the smaller investors, let's just say everyday people like myself, that may want to purchase properties here and there, you know, because a lot of people, okay, if you own 50 doors, right, you're small. 50 doors is small in comparison to how many doors is actually out here in the United States. So it's just something to look at. People that are inspiring to be business owners, right? Because it's not going to be it's going to have to be a one shoe fit all, right? So if you do this to the big corporations, let's just say you want to be an aspiring entrepreneur and real estate is your path, now that hinders you, that hinders your growth. So it's a lot of things to think about. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe if you are continuing to rock with me and you like the videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.